Uh, Lately, our politics have just been making crazy turns, particularly this weekend. I'm talking about the identity politics nowadays. As you can see, what kind of road the identity politic is taking us to. Um, I'm speaking about Julius Malema. He was in court for, hang on, for an assault case together with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. They sort of remind me of Puff Daddy and the Notorious B.I.G., the tag team. And didn't watch much of the trial because they were just playing a video back and forth. In fact, the following day in court, they played a video. Um, and if you look at that video, it just shows, they show that gentleman who was, had opened up a case. There's where they're trying to push him and he obviously loses balance as he's trying to move away from them and kind of lean on to the other crowd. So I've seen assault, a whole lot of assaults growing up, coming from the countryside, beat downs. So you look at that case again. It's one of those cases that are continuously building Julius Malema profile. Effectively, they're making him famous, and we have learned now that AfriForum, that gentleman approached AfriForum for an assistance with regard to the case. So it's identity politics again. The EFF will say, look, this gentleman now, he said that he is a member of the Solidarity Union. The AfriForum is assisting him in opening up the case. And there have been few cases which AfriForum had opened against Julius Malema, in the past years. So the narrative is still building that, hey, look, I am a leader of the EFF. I'm fighting for you, black folks. Look at what these white folks are doing to us. They've opened up a case. And it also put ANC in a conundrum because it was during the funeral of Winnie Mandela, whom everybody knows that she took Malema under her wing, and the daughters of Winnie Mandela always, they love Julius Malema. He's like a family, a little brother to them. And on the other side, this was a state funeral, obviously. So the optics are not good where Julius Malema now is playing a hero again, got shoved out of the way where he was supposed to be at the funeral of his mom, so to speak. And this is a state funeral by the African National Congress, and of which the Winnie Madikizela Mandela was a member of, and obviously they are silent now, and then it now makes Julius Malema to be someone now who's standing up, who's saying, hey, look, man, we're trying to go to a funeral to bury someone who's been out there in the forefront fighting for freedom, being vilified throughout the years. And and kept the struggle going while her husband Nelson Mandela was in prison in those years. And here we're trying to say bye-bye at a final resting place. And here the optics again, a Caucasian fellow here is standing in our way, stopping us to go bury our mother, and we're not gonna stand for that. And when you look at this, you're like, oh my goodness, this is not an assault. It's like a scuffle. That scuffles happens everywhere in parliament. You come to a neighborhood, it's not even assault. You get beaten the hell up, or get stabbed, or get a bottle smashed on your head, like what that Andy Lungisa did, smashed a jug full of water to someone's head. Although he's still saying that it was in self-defense and he had appealed that. We'll see how that ends. But if it wasn't in self-defense, when the verdicts come through, that's what you would normally see, in in taverns and stuff. And I've seen that. I've lived there. I'm from that background where you see somebody's head got smashed with a quart of beer, 750 milliliters in their head, smashed, boom. So when everybody looks at that, given the environment where other people come from, they're like, that's not an assault. You push someone else nowadays, you touch someone else's shoulders nowadays, and it's an assault. Oh, look at that. And on top of that, these folks were going to bury the person whom they consider to be their mother. Fast forward, Julius Malema comes out of the court case. Remember, these are identity politics. This is the politics where you're not saying, this is not the Martin Luther King themes and his values and what he used to espouse, saying that every individual is to be judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. That thing is by the wayside. The idea here is, for most political parties, is to have different kind of groupings of individuals, put them together, pander to them, to those constituencies, have a whole lot of number of folks to vote for them to win. So they're pandering. They will pander to the gay community. They will pander to the women. They will pander to the LGBT group. They will pander to the black people. And then hence you see all those slogans nowadays, the Black Lives Matter. I'm sure everybody knows that Black Lives Matter, Lives Matter in general. But so they come up with those racially identity slogans. And these are the slogans where you cannot have another point of view. The freedom of speech here, or differing in opinions, doesn't work. You see someone saying Black Lives Matter, and you're like, yeah, but I know Black Lives Matter. So are Indian lives, so are colored folks' lives, so are Chinese people's lives, so are white people's lives. Like, no, dude, don't come up with your nonsense here. When we say Black Lives Matter, it doesn't mean that we say that other race groups' life doesn't matter. We're just basically saying that the black folks been going through a lot, for hundreds and hundreds of years, and here you are trying to tell us about other races being matter, man. What's wrong with you? We're just trying to tell you that this is what's happening. And then they quickly shut you down. See what I'm talking about? But these are the constituencies that, as a political party, you have to put them together, right? So this is what happened to Julius. When people were saying, hey, this guy always he talks about black excellence. When you see black lawyers performing well, your Nukay Tobis performing well, and so forth, it's like hashtag black excellence. This is what we need. We need more black lawyers to be visible, to represent. We need judicial justice, right? And then people, the crowd loses their minds. And then next thing on Twitter, people noticed, hey, look, Julius Malema is using the services of white lawyers. And they hammer that on Twitter. They hammer that on Twitter for days and for days until Julius Malema responds. And when he spoke there, remember, these are sound bites and clips. So now people latched onto the clip where he says he once used black lawyers and lost. And fair enough, he said that he's a strategist. So he'll look around and see which lawyers are good on what issue, and then utilizes those lawyers on other issues. But then people latched on that issue because of the racial identity politics. First, they said, oh, Julius Malema is using white lawyers. But he always saying he's pro-black. He talks about black excellence. And then he said, no. I'm using these white lawyers. They are cool. We're working with people who are willing to give up the land, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, I worked with black lawyers and I lost. And then the people latched on that, say, oh, look at that. So now black lawyers are the worst. And then you started seeing people like Darlene Pofu saying, no. Julius was not specifically saying that. And this is the result of identity politics. Instead of saying, okay, look, I acquire usage of any lawyer, regardless of race. You know, most folks like to use the word irregardless. I think it's the new thing. The Webster dictionary or whatever, they'll probably change regardless to irregardless because people just keep saying irregardless. Anyway, side issue. So, and this is the same thing now with Mbalintuli, who just got thumped like crazy. Yesterday, got beaten up to a pulp by John Steenhuisen, politically, of course. The SABC stated that John Steenhuisen won 80%. It was kind of obvious that that was going to happen. But then, when that happened, she put out a nice statement supporting the leadership, now supporting Steenhuisen. And then you started to see the racial identity politicians hopping and jumping on the train. I saw a tweet by Naledi Chirwa. Essentially, she was just saying, hey, kudos to the black sister. You ran your race well. Women power kind of thing. The paraphrasing, and then other people start saying, hey, you did well. And essentially it turned into a race that it was obvious John Steenhuisen was going to win because he's white and he's male. And so essentially people are now saying that it was a waste of time for her for running. But then people just latched onto the fact that she's black and she's female, and hey, girl power. So that's just been the deal with the racial identity politics, and it's just becoming more worse and worse, because with racial identity politics, each and every day, more and more terms are being changed in order to bash you with the racial identity politics. I saw this senator, I think it's a senator or a congresswoman from in the States, from Hawaii. It's a senator, yes, Mazie Hirono, where they were confirming justice of the state, Amy Coney Barrett. And she said, well, she mentioned the word sexual identity, and Maisie Herone just started bashing her on the head and say, sexual identity is racism. And she eventually apologized, and later on, some news folks dug up the very same politicians who were criticizing the term racial sexual preference to have said the same thing. So it's getting more and more crazier. More and more words are now being deemed to be racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic, and so forth. And so it's destroying the language. People cannot be able to express themselves freely, and they fear being cancelled because of this racial identity politics. So let's hope more and more people will see through this charade and just started to treat each and every individual, one individual at a time, as to what's their character and how they're behaving, and then make a judgment from there, not lumping them into different kind of groups of coalition in order for them to get votes. So don't get used by politicians. My name is Mamuji, and thanks for watching the Mamuji Show, and I'm out.